Hey guys, hey, it's Dan, and welcome back to Dan Land. And it's week 14, NFL 2023 season. So we'll get into everything. Starting off with what did we learn? What did I learn last week? Well, from week 13, I learned that the Jets are a bit worse off than I thought they were. Um, I thought they had a better fighting chance with that defense against Atlanta, and they proved that wrong. And now with the rumors with Wilson supposedly not wanting to play, and I I don't really buy into that. And just like Aaron Rodgers saying he's going to be back by the end of the month from his injury, don't buy that either. It's one of those you believe it when you see it, but you really highly don't expect it because it's never happened before. He's an aging guy to begin with, so what I agree with Colin Cowherd watching his show that you know Coach Sala just needs to take control of his team before something bad happens to him and he gets the axe. So what else did I learn? Learned that the Broncos and the Texans are both surging, both good teams, but Houston proved to be a bit better. Playing at home, sure, fine, great deal, but they was able to muster a bit more than Denver could put together. So Houston's looking like that sneaky backdoor playoff team that and now with Lawrence from Jacksonville gone for a week, maybe three ish. Hard to tell with a high ankle sprain. Just depends on realistically how fast he can come back. But there's 1 maybe 3 weeks, maybe even more, just depending on how severe it is. But we won't know that until we see it. So they could even be a sneaky team that takes the division right from under Jacksonville. Not counting Jacksonville out by any means, but it could happen where they find themselves not the division winners. So, and I know they're conscious of that, so that's something that they have to deal with. My favorite to win the division is still the Jaguars. We'll see how the last 5 weeks of the season plays out. And yeah, 5 weeks of the season, it's gone by really fast. It's a long season, but it does go by fast. And we're only 6 weeks away from the playoffs now. Only 6 weeks, a month and a half. Imagine that. And you blinked and the season was half over. Feels like it just started. So, and with that, when we found out that Philly, 3 games in 13 days or 12 days, 13 days, I think it was, those guys are really tired. No, not an excuse. I know in football we don't make excuses, but it is a reality. And human beings do get tired, and they were exhausted. You could tell that they just weren't themselves. And sure, they got beat down, and they know it. They're not gonna say they didn't, and they're gonna figure out a way to bounce back, and they will. That they are vulnerable right now, and we'll get to more of that here in a little bit. The Eagles are vulnerable, at least for the short term. And look at them Rams. Aren't they they're putting some stuff together at the right time. They got a really tough road ahead with this week anyways, but on to that here in a moment. And Kansas City is looking vulnerable. They should have won that game. You would figure they should have won that game, but they just weren't themselves against Green Bay. You could see that they were just off. And not in just the offensive side of the ball. They were just off everywhere, and it could be seen. It wasn't a surprise to see Green Bay walk away with that because they were just playing better. And that's something that Kansas City's got to address. And so I went 7-6 in week 13. I think that's the worst week I've had this season so far, just above 500. I'm 126 and 67 on the season. Not bad, but looking to do some rebounding and get some better numbers going into the final stretch of the season. And so, with that, let's start week 14, Thursday night on Amazon. Not your greatest on paper matchup, but it's a football game, and they're professionals, and it's a pro ball club. So you got the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I could see why a lot of people are wondering, is like, oh boy, this is a really tough one to call. New England's playing very badly on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense is keeping it pretty much together on their side. Now Kenny Pickett is down for a while, if not for the rest of the season, in Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh's got to even more so rely on their defense and see if Mitch Trubisky can muster up something. We know he's got some experience. He's been a starter, but he's not a starter for a reason. But he's had moments where he's had good points and good games. And Steelers fans are hoping that he can put enough together to keep them alive for the playoffs. So they're my wife's team. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Steelers over the Patriots Thursday Night Football. Then on to Sunday. So there's some interesting games. There's some good games on Sunday. Let's see. Starting out the 10 a.m. slot of games with the Houston Texans and the New York Jets. Not too hard to figure that one out. The Jets are the Jets, and that meaning their high hopes for the season. Well, that ended maybe even before it started. I mean, it was high hopes with Aaron Rodgers and what he's capable of doing, but it's that offensive line. They've got to do something with that offensive line. It needs fixing. It needs an overhaul. And that's a part of Robert Saleh's job to take care of that. So they've got to address that in the offseason, and they've got to. There's just no choice. Excuse me. So with that, I'm taking Houston over the Jets. And then one of the more interesting games of the day, the LA Rams. The sneaky LA Rams, thought they were in more of a rebuilding mode than they've been showing. But Sean McVay is one of these elite coaches in the NFL today. And now you're seeing why, because the Rams are competing. They're in playoff contention. And they're taking on the Baltimore Ravens at Baltimore. Not going to be an easy task. But they did beat Cleveland in that defense. So they can do it. I'm going to give the edge to Baltimore because they're at home. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams walk away with it. In a tough, hard-fought game, of course. You know, it's going to be that way either way. I don't see a blowout here. And I'll say that because I know Baltimore has only lost one game in recent memory to NFC teams. But the Rams did put it to the Cleveland Browns in that defense, which means that should translate into they can hold their own with Baltimore. At the end of this game, Baltimore could see their second loss to the NFC in recent memory. So, but with that, I'm going to give the edge to Baltimore in Baltimore. But don't be surprised if the Rams take it. Could it be a blowout? Maybe, but I don't think so. So, from there, on to Carolina Panthers at the New Orleans Saints. Struggling Carolina. I still believe it was a mistake firing Frank Reich. He is a quality head coach. And this is what happens when billionaires don't get their way right away. You know, they want instant satisfaction like most people do in this world today. And it just doesn't happen that way, especially in the world of football. In this league, you're not going to go from, it's very rare that somebody goes from zero to hero. It's literally only happened like a couple of times. You know, you got the Ravens and the Bucks did it in the early 2000s. But that's, you know, from zero to hero, but it's rare. But in today's world, you want instant satisfaction, and that's just not the way the league works. It takes time to put things together. Look at San Francisco. They've been patient, and they've been able to put together what some people call a juggernaut of a team. And it's been said that they have 7 of the best 10 players in this league on that team. So, and it's taken time to put it together. Sean McVay and the Rams with their Super Bowl run, it took time and some patience to put that team together, going for broke, and they won their Super Bowl. So, but Carolina is Carolina, and they're struggling. And the Saints, they probably going to be without Derek Carr, who's in concussion protocol. So who will most likely miss the game. But New Orleans should have enough to beat their division rivals. So New Orleans over Carolina. And from there, Indianapolis Colts at the Cincinnati Bengals. Jake Browning showed everybody something Monday night against the Jaguars. He can play. We didn't see it coming. We expected and hoped that he would be able to put something together, but nobody thought about that kind of a performance on Monday night. Can he replicate it? We don't know. We shall see, though. But it does give hope that the Bengals maybe aren't as bad off as initially thought. And so this is going to be a very tough game for both teams. I'm going to give the edge to Cincinnati at home. So Bengals over Colts in Cincinnati. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes the other way, but edge to Cincinnati. And then from there, Tampa Bay at the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta, the division leader. I still believe that the Bucs can win this division, and Tampa Bay has everything that they need to be able to pull this off. I think what their biggest lack is strong head coaching. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay over the Falcons at Atlanta. From there, the Jaguars at the Cleveland Browns. Jacksonville Jaguars at the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland's defense, who has looked a little bit not as just a hair bit not as dominant as they have been in recent weeks. Over the last 2 weeks, they've looked a little not quite, just not as dominant. But they're still arguably the best defense in this league. And the Jags, well, both teams going in with not their starting quarterbacks. I'm going to give the edge to Cleveland at home. So I'm taking I'd rather take the Jaguars, but Trevor Lawrence isn't there, and he is the franchise. He is he's what saved that team, him and the head coach. But if you don't have one of those two, they're not there, you got problems. And they don't have their starting quarterback. Could their backup, don't remember his name right now, could he pull it off? Maybe. Can't say that it's impossible or that he can't do it, but it's going to be an uphill struggle, and I'm going to give the edge to the Browns. So from there, Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears. Always an interesting matchup with these teams. In Chicago, Detroit looking to, I know they won this last week, but their defense is a little skittish. They're not playing the way they were just a few weeks ago. Look for Dan Campbell to get that ship righted on the defensive side of the ball, and good opportunity to do that against a division rival. Nobody knows how to play better than your rivals, and so. But I'm going to give the advantage to Detroit on the road. Lions over the Bears, and then from there, Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. Is it going to be another beatdown like Seattle saw just a few weeks ago? Geno Smith is just not, he's not having the same year as he was last year. And even if he was, it would be a tough task to handle the 49ers at home, and they're healthy and playing as good as they have been all year. And they're riding high over coming off of a big win over Philadelphia, a dominating win over the Eagles. So, yeah, big edge, in my opinion, 49ers. So San Francisco over Seattle. And that's the beginning of the 1 o'clock slot games. And then from there, the Minnesota Vikings at the, I almost said Oakland Raiders. Minnesota Vikings at the Las Vegas Raiders. And, the Vikings have been struggling a little bit with quarterback play and team play over the last week or so. But this is a good opportunity for them to get all that corrected. I still believe in Josh Dobbs. He's a good quarterback. One of the better backup quarterbacks in this league. Is he a starter? I'm not sure. Probably not, because if he was, then he probably would be. But he is a backup that can win you games. He's proven that. He's showed that. And I give the edge to Minnesota over the Raiders and their interim coach. No offense to them. They've done an amazing job. But I don't think they're going to quite have enough at home to fend off the Vikings, who are looking to put some tread under their wheels. So Minnesota over the Raiders. And then the Denver Broncos are at their division rival, the LA Chargers. And this should be, and I'm pretty sure most people would think that this should be a game that, this just goes Denver's way. They're supposed to be the better team. They've been playing better. The Chargers come off of an ugly win against the Patriots. But the Chargers, do they need a new head coach? In my opinion, yeah, they do. And in a lot of people's opinion, yeah, they do. They need an offensive-minded, I believe, head coach. Justin Herbert is just one of the best quarterbacks in this league, period. And their defense, there's just too much talent on that defense to not be good. They're at home, and I'm going to give the win to the Chargers. It's going to be close, hard fought, of course. But I'm going to give it to the Chargers. I just got this feeling Justin Herbert, because he is Justin Herbert, and he's good. He's just that good. Not that Russell Wilson isn't, but I think the Chargers show up and they show out and they put enough together to make them feel better off of an ugly win that I'm pretty sure, even though they won, yay, we got the win, but boy, we didn't like how we got it, because we just did not play well. And so they're going to put that together and get a win over the Broncos. And then, in my opinion, definitely the biggest of the afternoon games, Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. Go Chiefs Kingdom. Oh boy. I could see this is a dangerous moment for Kansas City. They need to get themselves right. They did not look good. They were off in every phase of the game. They had an opportunity to win, but they just weren't able to muster up enough. I'm not going to go into the realm of bad calling from the refs, but so a win is a win, a loss is a loss. That's what it looks like in the column. They don't mention side notes about this, that, or whatever. So Kansas City, they just were not themselves. They've got too good of a head coach, best head coach in their history, best head coach in the league today. They've got one of the league's best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. They've got a defense better than they've had in the Patrick Mahomes era. They've still got predominantly most of everything that they have, aside from Juju Smith-Schuster from last year's Super Bowl team. The big difference is they don't have Eric Bieniemy anymore. So, but and I think we're just seeing the results of them getting used to this, to the new offensive coordinator. But they have to get that gelled And now's a good time, but the Buffalo Bills are not going to be an easy task. The Bills have beaten them in season before, and I'm pretty sure that the Bills, I wouldn't consider it an upset if they beat Kansas City, and I kind of half expect them to, but I'm going to take the Chiefs anyway. I'm going with my Chiefs. The Chiefs need to get their, for lack of a better term, right off the top of my head, they got to get their act together. They got to figure it out. They're on the cusp of that figuring it out thing and getting it together, and they need to do it before they find themselves in trouble inside their own division. So, Chiefs over the Bills in Kansas City, because Kansas City being a bit off, but they're not going to go anywhere type of quietly into any night. So, yeah, Kansas City over Buffalo, go Chiefs. And then Sunday Night Football, the main event of the day. The term been waiting all day for Sunday night. Yeah, for this one, you're right. The big rematch. Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. One of the NFL's biggest rivalries for a long time. Dallas looking to bounce back from that loss early, just a few weeks ago to the Eagles. And the Eagles looking to bounce back from that beat down that they suffered from the 49ers last week. Dallas playing at home. They haven't lost at home, knock on wood. For this week, they play better at home. They're confident. They're looking for redemption, and whoever wins this is going to be the lead in the division. So either Philly keeps the lead in the division or Dallas takes it. I'm taking the Cowboys over the Eagles on this occasion, as the Cowboys they seem to put it together better at home, and right now is the right time. Philly's ripe for the pickings, so to speak. They're not 100%, and they haven't been for a bit. They're going to play tough. They're going to play hard. Would I be surprised if Philadelphia does win? Not at all. Not at all. Because Philly is just a double tough team. They are still the defending NFC champions until they're not. And they're still my favorite to win the NFC again this season. But on this occasion, I think the Cowboys walk out with a win. Cowboys over Philadelphia. And then here's something we haven't seen in a while. On Monday night, December 11th, we got a doubleheader on Monday night. The only issue I see is that they're both being played at the same time. So it's like you got to pick and choose which one you're gonna watch. I hear that the Manning brothers are simulcast broadcasting the games. That probably wind up checking that out. It should be very interesting. Watching Red Zone's pretty awesome. This could be pretty interesting too. But other than that, both games being telecast at the same time. So you got the Green Bay Packers at the New York Giants, and Green Bay is just too hot right now. They seem to have found it. They put it together. It almost wants to make you eat your words, saying the Jordan Love experiment has failed. Somehow he's figured himself out and clicking with the offense, and maybe the judgment was a bit early. So time will tell with that. And but right now the Packers are undeniably playing good ball, and the Giants are having problems. So with all of that, I'm just going to take the Packers over the Giants in that doubleheader or the dual matchup on Monday night. And then the second matchup, the Tennessee Titans at the Miami Dolphins. Tennessee looking to play hard and tough. Miami's flying high. That fast track meet offense. And Tyreek Hill is on pace for a monumental season. maybe the best ever. Still got a few weeks for that yet, but he's putting together. He and the Dolphins are putting together some impressive numbers, and now's the time to do it. Miami, they're playing at home. They like it warm, and I don't think Tennessee's going to have enough. So Miami over the Tennessee Titans. And we'll see how this week translates. Those are picks for this week. I'd like to see your picks. Drop them down in the comment section. Teams on a bye this week, Arizona and Washington. So no Arizona Cardinals and no Washington used to be Redskins this week. We'll see them in week 15. Other than that, I guess that about does it for this week. Thanks for hanging out with me. You guys take care and enjoy. Bye-bye.